Streaming from outside the mainstream, Beyond a Pale, the podcast, hosted by Paleface.
I'm excited about today's guest. She is a sought-after executive coach and the host of her own popular podcast, Leadership Behind the Scenes. Noomi Natan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Paleface.
It's so great to have you. Noomi, can you please share your background with the audience? I'd love to know more about you.
I can, because I'm not the traditional executive coach. I didn't, get the high-flying, high-powered, top-level job and then get bored and then think, oh, I need to teach other people how to do this.
Right.
I became an executive leadership coach already at 27. And so when I started coaching, I was very happy to coach over the phone because I remember people telling me, so I have a kid that's 22, and I was thinking, that's really close to me in age. But, I did what I loved and it worked and helped people. And so I became a coach basically because someone told me I could. I had I'd had a personal crisis. I think that's usually the best way to start a new career. So I was 25.
It is for a lot of people.
Exactly. And so I was 25 and I'd been promoted twice in a year. And I was in London. I'm originally from Denmark. And so a number of things happened in a short space of time. Promotions, 4 friends, leaving London in a space of a month. So, this was when you counted how many minutes you had on your phone. Now I think, at least in the UK, most phone plans are unlimited. But I noticed I didn't use any of my minutes, and my inner perfectionist was driving me crazy. So I was super upset. I was crying in the morning before work. I was crying during work because although I was doing well, inside I didn't feel great. I felt really upset. I ended up having time off work. 2 weeks, clearly not enough, but I had a conference to deliver, so I came back and I did that. And then I went on a big soul search. And along the way, I met an executive coach. My old boss actually put me in touch with this executive coach. And this executive coach was super nice. He met with me. And at some point during those 2 hours, he changed my life. Because he said to me, I think you want to do what I do. Because I said to him, I think something people, I don't know what, something people. I'd studied journalism. I knew I didn't want to be a journalist. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And he said, you want to do what I do? And my jaw just dropped open because I'd done personal development for myself and for fun, but I didn't know you could do it, for a living. You could actually make money doing it. And he said to me, I think you've got the talent, but you don't have the confidence. I said, so what do I do? He said, it doesn't matter. You're not ready yet. I said, but what do I do? I was like, wow, I had this epiphany. What do I do? He said, it doesn't matter. You're not ready yet. So I went and I just come out of this soul searching period, was feeling strong again, and had a job offer, and I went and worked for a mobile games company as a product marketing manager. Clearly the wrong job, clearly not my dream job, someone else's dream job. And I stayed there for a while and then left and retrained.
So what kind of retraining did you get to do that? What was the retraining that you took to get yourself prepared?
Well, this was back in 2007. So now I think there's a coach school in every corner. But at that time, there weren't that many coach trainings. So I'd been living in London at that time. Then I moved to Toronto, and I studied adult training and development. So sort of general about learning about adult training and development. Then I studied neurolinguistic programming. And at the same time, I had, through this personal development community I'd been involved with, I had some friends that had worked in HR and had transitioned into coaching. And one of my friends had started working for a new and upcoming coaching company. And she said to me, if you want to be a coach, you need to get a coach and you need to coach other people. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And so I got a coach and I started just coaching friends for free. And then a few months later, while I was doing this training, she phoned me and she said, listen, I've convinced the others in this company that you can do this, because I know you're good, because you've known me for several years doing the personal development. I know you're good. Right. So are you ready? Because we needed someone yesterday. So it was very low paid. I got I mean, I got paid £22.50. That's pounds. So I don't know, about $30 for my first coaching session. And I was sold. I was like, this is it. That's it. I get paid to do this. It was like the most miraculous thing in the world.
That's great. So when you were coaching your friends, was that on the sly, or did they know that you were coaching them?
No, they knew.
Okay.
No, I would recommend, so anyone that wants to transition careers, set it up. I'd ask them, I said, I want to be a coach. Can I coach you? And I was like, these are not friend conversation. And we sort of agreed on the whole, the what we in coaching call contracting. So how does this work and when? And we didn't make it that many. I mean, one of them got a really amazing job after 2 sessions. I'm not sure that was to my credit, but anyway, she didn't.
It might have
really
been some
need
to
the
your
coaching.
credit.
Yeah.
So what do you look for when you actually start that coaching arrangement or that relationship? So what do you do, or what are the guidelines or the things that you lay down with the people that you're coaching on how to approach it so that you maximize that coaching experience?
Well, first up, they have to be comfortable with me. So I would say to anyone that's looking for a coach, you've got to be comfortable with the coach. I often find that through the coaching relationship, when it really works, they'll tell me stuff and they say, wow, I don't think I've told anyone that. I don't even know if I've told myself that before. And that's the magic, the power. Always like, I don't have the answer. And in addition, coaching philosophy says, well, all the answers are in the client. And I go, not sure about that. It might be in them, but I don't think they're consciously aware of those. So I think the magic happens in the space between us in the dialogue. And so this is what's really important. I mean, I'm all in when I'm coaching someone, so I want to like them. I want to root for them. I want to believe in them. So I'm looking for that, and I want them to feel really safe in my hands.
That's great. I think I would if I were being coached by you. So, Noomi, why is it so important, you think, in today's business climate for leaders to seek executive coaching and to have that coaching?
Okay, so there's several things. So for me, there's we could say 3 layers of the coaching. So the first layer is, I think everyone that is a top leader should have somewhere safe and confidential they can just share what's going on for them and the decisions they're sitting with, because there is so much intensity and their spouse, whoever they're living with, don't want to hear it all. They're tired of it, fed up. They just want them to be helpful at home. And they need somewhere to work it through, because when they don't, it spills over. So that's sort of the top layer that's really important and helps you think better, approach it, and also just to get people out of the fire, because they're just down in the weeds and they don't have perspective. So that's the first layer. A good coach will always help you get perspective. The second layer for me is helping make the leader and the executive conscious of how they're showing up, because mostly they don't pay attention to it. And for example, I had one client, a senior exec in a multinational company, and we worked just on one thing for 5 sessions, which was her becoming more present. And she said to me at the end of these 5 sessions, she said to me, Noomi, I say the same things in meetings as I did before. But now, at the end of a meeting, people thank me. They thank me. I say the same words. And I always played Lego with my kids. So I was always on the floor with them. But now they're super happy because I'm really there. And so, that's sort of a layer of me, is paying attention to how do you actually show one intention and what's happened, what's your part of the dynamic. And then there's the third layer. And this is the one where I get super excited, and where, again, I'm slightly different than a lot of coaches, because this is in the therapeutic realm. But I think people need to work their own stuff to be a good leader. So the first authorities we meet in our lives are our parents, even if we don't meet them, even if we're adopted or an orphan. Parents, whether they're there or not, that tells us something about whether we can trust authority.
Right.
And even, thank you, Mom and Dad, I had the best childhood in the world, right? Even if we have the best childhood in the world, we have unfinished parental business. We still have issues with Mom and Dad, no matter how our life was. For some people, it's obvious they have those issues. For some people, it's not so obvious, but everyone has those issues. And so when it comes to leadership, that's about authority. our own authority and other people's authority. And so all our unfinished business with our parents and the family dynamics and our place in our family, all of that shows up. And if you don't process it somewhere else in your workplace, you just play it out. I mean, you can watch leaders around the world and, in companies, and they're just playing out their insecurities and their unfinished business. And it has huge consequences for the rest of us.
Wow, that's very interesting. You don't think about that, but I'm sure that is the case. So, Noomi, one more thing. Can you tell me about your role model, Your Way leadership course that you have? I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, so I found that a lot of the people that I love the most coaching are the ones that are full of heart and they care deeply. And then they go, well, I don't think I want the next level up. I don't think I want to get promoted again because there's too much nastiness and too much politics. And I get really upset because I go, well, how will my world change for the better when those that I think have the most integrity and the biggest hearts go, yeah, too much nastiness at the top. So I started quoting my grandfather. My grandfather was a politician. He became a politician in Denmark by the age of 50 by a coincidence. And he says, this isn't his quote, he says it was a French politician, but the quote goes something like this: the people will be happier when the power is held in the hands of those who don't want it.
Right.
And so I started saying to people, listen, this doesn't work. Like, you might not feel comfortable with the power, but that's probably exactly the sign that you are the right kind of person to be in charge and to be in leadership. That tells me that you are conscious of the weight of power. That is not a bad thing. That's a really great thing. And so I started saying, if you're not seeing anyone leading in the way you want it to be done, or very few people, if you're looking for your role models, you have to role model the way. You have to be the role model that you wish was everywhere.
That's great for them to take that charge and just to pick up the mantle and be that leader. I think that's great.
So this is why I created this online course, because I wanted it to be available to, there's only so many people I can coach one-to-one. And so I created a whole online curriculum with basically the best of what I do one-to-one, but now accessible, self-study. Anyone across the globe can just access it and do the work themselves.
Well, that's great. I love that, paying it forward and being able to offer people things that can help them improve, especially being able to help in leadership. I think that's what we need, stronger leaders. So, Noomi, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we close out today's show?
So as part of Role Model the Way, I incorporated in there, but I started saying to my clients beforehand, because so many of those great people, they're waiting for permission. They're waiting for someone to tell them it's okay. So I started saying like this, obviously as a joke, but with the power vested in me as your fellow human being, I hereby grant you permission to lead and live in a way that feels good and true to you. Don't wait for permission. You have the permission. Do it in a way that feels good and true to you, and do not stay at home because you're afraid, because that does not change the world.
I think that's great advice. So I encourage all my listeners to connect with Noomi at NoomiNatan.com and check out her Leadership Behind the Scenes podcast. Noomi, any other way folks can connect with you?
Those are the two best places. And if they go to NoomiNatan.com/role model, they can get the whole first module totally free.
Oh, excellent. That's great. People love free stuff, especially when it helps them. So that's great.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Noomi, Natan, this has been very rewarding with me. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Godspeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
If you're interested in being a guest on Beyond a Pale, the podcast, please visit beyondapale.blog/guest.